All right, everyone. Welcome back to the HardBody Chronicle. This is the first episode for the year of our Lord 2021. It's good to be back with all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Just trying to start off the year right, the correct way. But a lot of shit's been going on, regardless. So we're probably just going to dive right into it. So first and foremost, I want to say this podcast is brought to you in part by Papa's Apothecary. Shout outs to the homie Kevin, who's an herbalist out of Bastyr University, and they make all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, that he's a mad scientist. Right now, I'm using his beard oil a lot. It's called Smooth Whiskers, and it's keeps you nice and fresh, moisturized, looking clean. So shout outs to him for coming up with this premium beard oil. It's the best one I've used. I bought a lot of shitty ones on Amazon and whatnot, but I always go back to his stuff. It's just better. It smells great. I can't recommend it enough. And also I'm using his. He's got this crazy yoga mat spray, and it's called My Mat Smells Nice. So. Honestly, man, I spray this shit everywhere. I don't even care, but it's that good. But obviously, it goes on. I spray this on my yoga mat and my yoga block because it gets hot. You know what I'm saying? The block is hot, and you keep it fresh. So shout outs to Kevin and his team over at Papa's Apothecary. They're a sponsor of this podcast. They make great stuff, and I'm gonna put their stuff in the description, all the links and all that. So. Head on over to their page, and like I said, they make all kinds of good stuff. It's super top of the line. I can't say enough good things about it. So moving on, just get right straight into it. Insurrection took place at our country's capital. That shit was wild as fuck. I never seen anything like it, to be honest. It's funny because I was actually at work, like most people, because it was during the day, and I'm in a fucking Zoom meeting with all kinds of people, and someone in the chat just kind of says, "Oh, shots fired at the state's capital." I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Like, so needless to say, that meeting ended a lot sooner than we had anticipated. So. Obviously, no one. I mean, you can't focus. Like, if you're at work and you see that kind of shit going on live, like work kind of you're not worried about work at that point. You're like, what the what's going on with the fucking country right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, what I got to do? I got to go to Canada or some shit, or get the strap, and be ready for whatever else comes next. I mean, that's that's at least how I was seeing it. But yeah, I mean, that shit was surreal. I don't you watch the news or whatever, and like CNN or ABC News, and you see all this kind of crazy shit going on, outside of the U.S. and developing nations. Where this thing's kind of normal, but seeing it here in the States was wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a child of immigrants, your parents have like this idea of what the United States is supposed to be, and it's kind of imposed upon you whether you know it or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, yeah, this is the best country ever, right? And it has its problems. We can't stray away from that, but you kind of, as you're growing up, you're kind of like, oh, this is the best country ever. Like, this is, I don't want to be in my country of origin. Like, I'm supposed to be here in the States, and that's kind of it. You build up the U.S. as this fucking world power, as a number one at everything, and then as you're an adult and as a child of immigrants, and you see all this shit going on, it's like, what the fuck? It's almost been a lie. I mean, Kind of how it comes across, and especially the last few years, things have been like extremely tumultuous with the presidency and racial injustice and all this shit coming to light. And I mean, yeah, this all has to be addressed at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like I think what we've done is we kind of swept all the shit under the rug, and we kind of live on this premise of what the U.S. should be versus what it actually is, and that's kind of what we're coming to grips into the realization of maybe, you know what, it's time to address a lot of the shit that we swept under the rug. I mean, it hasn't been that long since, the Civil Rights Act came into place. It's been like a lifetime, you know what I'm saying? Like, it hasn't been that long at all since all this stuff kind of came into play for people of color. And kind of opened the doors for minorities to be treated as equals. And we're not there yet, but at least some steps were made by the government to get us towards that end goal. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen when the Civil Rights Act was written up. I mean, it was kind of like it laid the foundation, but there's still, I mean, obviously generations of work that needs to be done till we get to that place where, the color of your skin isn't indicative of anything. It's not seen as a negative, and then hopefully, we'll all be equals regardless of race or gender or whatever. We'll just be working as one collective unit for the greater good. And I hope that happens in my lifetime. I don't know. But, I mean, again, with, the Trump presidency coming to an end, that rally before all that shit went down was wild. I mean, I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw highlights of it, and fucking Rudy Giuliani shouting about trials of combat. Like, what do you what do you expect your base to do if you're trying to rile them up like that? Like, you're just inviting it, and that was that's not cool. And honestly, like, whether you're on the left or the right, Democrat, Independent, Republican, I don't give a fuck. Honestly, my biggest thing is that when all this shit goes down, it has a tinge of racism behind it, and that's where I draw the line. Like, I don't care if you think the election was rigged, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's what you feel without evidence, that's just what happened. Cool. I mean, more power to you. But it's these motherfuckers that show up with the fucking Confederate flag, the white nationalist symbols, the dude with the fucking Camp Auschwitz hoodie. Like, that's where it irks me, and I take issue with, at least for now, the majority of the conservative party that kind of eggs that on to a certain extent. And that's my biggest thing. Like, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't really care. I mean, I love guns and all that shit, but just let people do what they want to do. And that's my biggest thing. And the fact that Trump tends to rile up, a lot of bigotry and racist sentiments, that's where I take issue. And that's why I'm like, what? It's not something I could ever get behind, and at least for me, that's where I draw the line. Like, I'm not saying I'm Democratic or Republican, but there's a few things where I'm like, you know what? Just because of that, I will never be Republican just because of certain things. And I'm not saying the Democratic Party doesn't have its issues with racism. I think they all do. They just do it in different ways. And for me, the Republican Party kind of does it in the nastiest way possible. The one that really fucking irks me, and I'm like, you know what, you guys can go fuck yourselves. I'm never gonna fucking be a part of that. So the fact that the lines are drawn, it makes people choose a side, and the fact that there's only, you know, two major political parties in the U.S., it makes it even nastier. So that's kind of, that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, the country's divided. There's no sugarcoating that. Like, I know Biden talks about uniting everybody, but we're divided as fuck. Like, we've never been more divided than ever. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of the UK several years ago, where there was, you know, anti-immigration stance by the population there. And the thing was, it was Middle Eastern countries just coming in to the UK, Arabic countries, Muslim nations, and they didn't want anything to do with it. And it's kind of like the white man's last stand. And I've said that before on the podcast, but I firmly believe that. Like, I think this is, for a lot of these people, the way they think and their true feelings about certain things are threatened, because they know that it's gonna come to an end, whether it's by legislation or just their generation is dying out, and us actually being more of a melting pot than we've ever been before. With, you know, multiracial families coming up, you know, a multiracial family is not going to give a fuck about your Southern pride or heritage, right? It's just they're kind of evolved, and they're moving to the next phase of what it is to be a human, where it's not so black or white or brown or red. It's just, we're just a bit of everything. And that's what a lot of these people are really afraid of. And so they're kind of pigeonholed into choosing a side, and it tends to be the conservative Republican side for now. And they're just really doing their best to keep things how they were or how they think they should be. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's going on right now. And I don't know. I mean, I think we got the most generic president in history. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for COVID and maybe for a lot of the Black Lives Matters social unrest, Trump would probably easily gotten a second term. But just the way he handled everything was just terrible. I don't understand. Like, you know, like, I think when I think of a presidency, I don't see just the president, right? Like, it's a whole fucking machine. It's a team of people, and there's a lot of brain power behind a president. Like, it's not just him or her calling the shots. But with Trump, it was interesting because it actually just was him calling all the shots. And I don't think we've ever really seen that before. And I know for a fact that, you know, colleges are going to have lots of material to teach their political science courses for the next 15, 20 years, because there's a lot to unpack with all the shit that went on with just his one presidency, one term. So that's impressive. So to come up with so much content for one term, that's insane. But, you know, a lot of these things aren't really explicitly written out in the Constitution. It's actually kind of vague. If you ever read through our Constitution, it's vague intentionally, but this is probably the one time where it's come back to hurt us. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. For the most part, just trying to be optimistic with everything. I hope at least we get COVID handled correctly, and maybe with maybe some progress made with a lot of the racial issues, a lot of inequality in this country, and I hope we can address that at some point. I mean, because for what it was, this new president, it's not just him, but he actually had the first female person of color vice president, and that's wild. I mean, for like I had to talk to other people, like women of color. That was a huge deal that we hadn't really seen before, and it's a pretty big thing, and hopefully mixes things up. Honestly, I'm tired of seeing so many old white people be our politicians, be our representatives, and there's a new wave coming, but just like anything, it's going to take some time. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. So I don't have too much to cover for this podcast, but we did have a major UFC, and it was the return of Conor McGregor. But I need to talk about the co-main event, because that, for the hardcore MMA fans, that's kind of one that was very interesting, and that was Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker. If you guys don't know, Mike Chandler was the 3-time Bellator champ at lightweight. Just a beast, and I think he's only had maybe a few losses in the past few years, but yeah, I think that was one of the titles that he lost, but always brings it, solid all around, no homo. And for me, I was hyped because it reminded me of when who was it? Eddie Alvarez made his way to the UFC, and then he lost to Conor. So, but Mike Chandler came through big time. I mean, he knocked out Dan Hooker in the first round. Dan Hooker is also a beast, and the fact that Mike Chandler was able to put him away just so easily in the first round was extremely impressive, and it was fun to watch. So hopefully, it seems like it's a better start than Eddie Alvarez had when he joined UFC, but we'll see what happens with Mike Chandler. It seemed like he was trying to make a play for the belt. Called out Conor, I think, too, in his post-fight speech. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. I think Mike Chandler would have done that to anybody, regardless. Dan Hooker was just the wrong place at the wrong time, I think. But Dan he'll bounce back. But again, I'm really excited to see what Mike Chandler does in UFC. And yeah, the main event. So Dustin Poirier. I never know how to say his fucking name. Dustin Poirier. I think that's right. Dustin knocks out Conor McGregor. Let me see. This was. So the casuals, they just want to see Conor McGregor come out or whatever the fuck. I mean, that's fine. He's definitely earned the hype and the pay to attract so much attention to the sport, and that's fine. But Dustin has been active and actually progressed his skill set. Like, he's just gotten better over time. Whereas Conor McGregor was just kind of picking his fights, just chilling, doing whatever the fuck he does, spending money and, traveling. And I mean, that's cool. But he's not, he's not in the gym like he was prior to his rise to the top, right? So it's like he's just been inactive this whole time. Just buying yachts or whatever the fuck he does with all his money, and I don't blame him because training sucks. Like it's not fun to get hit in the head. So if he's balling like that, cool. But it's like Conor constantly says that if things aren't his liking, he'll just retire, and he's retired like 3 times already on Twitter, just because he wins a fight, doesn't get the money he wants, and he backs out, or he loses a fight, and he's like, all right, I'll see you guys later. And then so it's just kind of this stupid back and forth is kind of childish. It's annoying. So, but yeah, I mean, Conor looked good in the first round until the point that Dustin took him down, and he's kind of wrestle fucked him a little bit. And that's how that first round ended. And then McGregor landed some clean shots. And I'll give McGregor his props. I think he's one of the most accurate strikers in UFC. I don't know what it is. It's just like he probably sees things in slow motion where he can just kind of like do whatever he wants. Like he's in the fucking Matrix, and he can just land like super clean strikes. It's fun to watch. And he did that in the second round, but Dustin landed some hits, like some heavy shots. They didn't look as pretty as Conor's, but it was heavy enough to like set him back. And that's when you saw Conor backing up a little bit. And on top of that, Dustin was landing some low leg kicks, some calf kicks to Conor, which stifled his movement. You could see Conor kind of change his stance a little bit. He was a little more square, because he really couldn't move around as well as he was in the first round. And Conor backed up because he wasn't trying to move, because that shit hurts, right? So he's just kind of backing up. But that was kind of that was pretty much it for Dustin, because Dustin could just close in, knowing that he can't move anywhere else past the cage, and threw enough shots to land the knockout. And that was super impressive. I know McGregor tends to kind of wilts a little bit under pressure, but I don't know. I don't think he was gassed, but he was hurt with the calf kicks. And then, like I said, Dustin, he's got heavy shots, so it just took a few shots to get Conor rocked, and he was able to finish him. And it was a definitive, knockout. Like it wasn't an early stoppage. It wasn't questionable in any way. Like Dustin put him out, and that was it. There's no like coming back from that. So, because I hate when a fucking ref steps in when the dude's still on their feet, or it's clear that the dude on bottom who's getting ground and pounded, no homo. It's clear that he's still in it. He's just trying to find an out, right, to evade or maybe shrimp out. But this is clear. It was a knockout, and it was a wrap. So, it was a good fight. And I don't know what's next for McGregor. I'm sure he's still going to get a lot of paydays just because he's built his name up so much. But Dustin is definitely in line for a title shot or something. A fight with Khabib. Because Khabib said prior to this that, I mean, I don't know if it's true. It's just this is what was reported, is that Khabib would come back if one of these fights enticed him enough. So we'll see. And honestly, Khabib is still a monster. Like, I think he beats anyone. So, but I'm down to see anyone get their ass beat just because I'm sadistic like that. So, but yeah, that's about it for that UFC. What's funny is that Dana White made some public statements talking about how he's going to go after streamers for this event. And I didn't pay for this shit because fuck it. the shit was $70 on top of the ESPN Plus subscription. So, yeah, you know what? Just I found, I always find a stream. When there's a will, there's a way. So that's where we're at right now. The irony of all of this is that I think the legit ESPN Plus stream was crapping out. Like, I think during the main event, like I saw some tweets about the shit crapping out. I mean, I'd be pissed as fuck if I drop $70 on a legit stream and it dies. Like, I'm never buying a stream after that ever again. So, yeah, it's just funny. These pirates, you can't beat pirates. They always find a way. And because honestly, I wouldn't. If the UFC did like a monthly subscription, like $10-$12 a month, easy. That's a no-brainer. Then if I just get that every pay-per-view fight that I want to see with a monthly subscription rate, that's fine. That's not an issue. But I actually think they would get more revenue from doing that because it seems to have worked for WWE with the WWE network. So you just pay whatever $10 a month, and you get everything, and you get the shows or whatever they have, and all the pay-per-views for the month. I mean, $10 a month. I mean, that's fine if you're a fan of that and you don't want to miss anything. It makes sense. And I don't know why. Excuse me. I don't know why the UFC insists on having a pay-per-view model that's antiquated. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there that don't even have pay-per-view. Like, you get live events as part of your monthly cable subscription price. So, like, it's like we're still back in the fucking 80s or something. So I don't know sympathy for Dana White and just fucking greedy ass tactics. Like, if they just had a monthly subscription, easy. I would rather just do that than pay for that one big pay-per-view of the year that, you get your homies together and you all pitch in or whatever. So, yeah. So that's my rant on UFC pay-per-views. Moving on. So, being that it is a new year, I want to give a shout out to everybody out there who's made it a goal to improve on their fitness and their health. Because it's not easy. It's hard to make those changes. A lot of that stuff is just a lifestyle change. I mean, sometimes you don't realize how poor your diet is, really. I mean, and when I say diet, I'm not talking like a fad diet. Like, when I mean diet, I mean actual diet. Like, that is what you eat for, from here on out. Like, in perpetuity. Like, it's not a fucking 3-month thing that you're doing. It's a lifestyle change for the better. So, now I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist in any way. So please consult with your physician, your doctor, your healthcare provider, whatever the fuck it is that you have. But I have the secret to weight loss. And all it is just stop fucking eating so much. That's it. That's a secret. I think for me, I can speak to this personally, it was really just portion control. I think sometimes you don't realize how much you're actually ingesting in terms of calories. Like, if you eat 3 meals a day, if you actually weighed all that out, did the math, and you found out how many calories were in each of those 3 meals, I think you'd be surprised to see just how many calories you're eating for the day. And I think you would be surprised as to how little food you can function with. So if you're overweight, just take a serious look at what you're eating throughout, a day, and then do the math throughout the week, and just count those calories, and you'll see just how much you're eating in excess. And weight loss is, I mean, they say, what is it? Weight loss is 80% diet and 20% exercise. I would say it's fucking 90% diet and then 10% exercise. It's that big a part of maintaining a healthy weight. So yeah, I think that's one of those. If you're looking for any kind of health advice from the HardBody Chronicle, it's to stop eating so much and actually take a look to see how many calories you eat. Do the math. Weigh your fucking food out on a scale if you have to, and you'll see just how much you actually eat. And then you just cut out the shit. Really, I mean that's stop eating out so much. Stop hitting up the drive-through. Make the time to make your meals because you know exactly what goes into it. You can weigh it out for the fucking week. I mean, meal prepping is the way to go. Whether you want to do, and I think a lot of these diets out there, they're really just trying to trick you into being satiated. So there's a lot of these, eating 6 small meals a day. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, first off, I barely got time to eat 2 meals a day. You want me to set a time to eat fucking 6 meals a day? I mean, that shit. But if that works for you, so be it, right? Because something like that, you're just kind of saying, all right, I'm going to eat in these intervals. So you kind of, that's really, so those 6 meals are really like 2 or 3 meals split up, right? And you're just kind of like eating a little bit, bang, eating, bang, and you kind of go through the day like that. So that's kind of the theory behind that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's really just a trick to get you into thinking that you're satiated and that you've eaten enough. For some people that works, but honestly, it all comes down to the same thing, right? Like you're just actually eating less than you were before. And whether you need to buy a fucking book or an online meal plan or something to fucking get you to that point, so be it. Some people just need kind of like that first step to changing their habits. So I'm all about it. Find what works for you. Everybody is different. Everybody reacts differently to certain things. So it takes time to find what not only what works for you, but what you can actually put up with in perpetuity. Because this shit's it's a lifetime. It's a lifestyle. And that's kind of the hardest part of figuring it out. So, again, shout out to everybody who's made a plan and stuck with it. Because, honestly, I'll see people coming to the gym, first month or two, and then I never see them again. It's like, because it's hard. You got to commit. It's a lot of changes you got to make. There's a lot of adjustments you got to deal with, and it's not easy. So, for all of you going through some kind of fitness or health change in your life, just keep at it. Be consistent. One other tip that I do is, if you got any kind of workout plan, I start my shit on Monday. Like, cause if I say, oh, I'll start Tuesday or Wednesday, then I don't do it because I'm fucking lazy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to work out. Like real talk. Like if I didn't have to work out and I can maintain a certain level of health and fitness, I wouldn't do it, right? But if I don't make myself take that first step on that Monday and make myself either work out, get those miles in, do the yoga, or go to the gym, if I don't do it and start it on Monday, I'm not going to want to do it the rest of the week because I just get lazy. Because then you just try to justify it in your head. You say, oh, well, I didn't go Monday. I'll go Tuesday. And then Tuesday comes along. You're like, oh, fuck it. I'll just go Wednesday. And then you're like, I'll start next week. And then you just get stuck in the cycle of shitty behavior. And then you don't actually accomplish anything. So, start that shit Monday. Whether you had a shitty day, whether you whatever's going on, you just got to make the time and set it aside to take care of yourself and address your fitness. And for me, that starts Monday. And that way I know if I can survive Monday's workout, then I can get through Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, whatever the fuck it is you got going on. So those are just some tips that I got. Again, I'm not a health professional. in any way. But that's what's worked for me. And I've been training a long time in the grappling arts, and I've made weight for competitions, and these are kind of things that I picked up on. And now I've kind of balanced it out to where I can kind of keep a healthy weight, but still have energy and strength to get through my workouts, and that's where I'm at. So yeah, again, shout out to all you who've made and put in the effort to better yourselves, because it's a big step. It's a big personal step to really be selfish enough to say, hey, you know what? I can't eat like the rest of you. I gotta stick to my chicken and rice and broccoli or whatever the fuck it is you're eating to make the weight that you need to make. So, good luck to everyone out there. So, only other thing I was gonna talk about on this podcast is actually I made some stickers. I don't know. This camera's not great. I don't know if it's gonna focus. But we got some stickers in the house, and these are fucking hard as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're nice. So if you see me anytime soon, let me know. I'll hook it up with some stickers. Put the shit everywhere. I don't give a fuck. Put it on your car. Put it on the fucking no parking sign. We gotta spread the movement. HardBody. I got one right here. Got my little sample batch right here. I mean, they're pretty legit. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have them, when you buy something, I might throw a few in there. So keep an eye out when I actually put shit on sale on my website. So yeah, again, Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for joining me on the first episode of 2021. And, I know we just started off this year. It was I think a rough start to the year, but I think it's going to get better. So I just want to put out that positivity out there for everybody watching. And again, thanks for tuning in. Blessings to all of you. I love all of you. Take care.